Oilers fans. You know what? I include myself among you all. We, I guess, should be sick to our collective stomachs right now because the Oilers just missed out on the opportunity to do something truly legendary, to complete what would have been the greatest comeback in NHL history. And you know what? Fair play to the Florida Panthers. They were the better team for 4 out of 7 games of this series, including tonight. The Edmonton Oilers not only lose out on that opportunity, they also waste a Conn Smythe season from their star, Connor McDavid. But his performance tonight, I think, alongside some of the other stars, will be a major point of discussion for the entire summer. Florida played the version of their game that we saw throughout games 1 to 3 of this series. They forechecked hard. They were relentless in both zones. They were doing a phenomenal job clogging up the front of their own net. And when they scored that second goal, they seemed very comfortable, and I was worried for Edmonton. Edmonton all game was struggling to make consistent zone entries. They were establishing some presence in the O-zone, but still weren't getting great chances. It felt like to score, they were either going to need a power play, which to be honest was not happening. The refs really swallowed their whistles, or just a lucky bounce in a fast break, or a superstar play from McDavid, Draisaitl, or Hyman. McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman, however, did not have that one play in them tonight. All 3 players remained pointless. And I don't know. McDavid got totally shut down, and that's a credit to the Panthers. But, and again, maybe this is an overreaction, I do think for a long time, people are going to point to him being completely shut out in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals as a black mark on his record. And you know, it was interesting who showed up for each team. I thought Draisaitl was brutal almost all game. He turned it up a bit in the third. Tkachuk, mostly invisible. Didn't see a lot of Hyman. While, shocker, players like Forsling, Barkov, they all made their presence very well known. Honestly, the biggest offensive drivers for the Oilers felt like Ekholm and Bouchard. In the first, man, Bouchard rang one off the post when they were tied 1-1. I don't know, I'll get to the actual goals in a second, but just to talk about the flow of the game. I mean, there were only 3 goals. Florida came out strong, I thought. Edmonton did a phenomenal job getting back that goal right away, but it really felt like the game was comfortably in Florida's hands after the Sam Reinhart goal in the second. I think that Edmonton got a little too desperate with their line combinations too early in the third, and I say that as someone who always wants to see McDavid on the ice. They were putting McDavid and Draisaitl together the entire third, running them long shifts with Hyman, and that led to one of the most pathetic final 2 minutes I think I've ever seen in a 1-goal Stanley Cup final. The Oilers were late pulling their goalie. They spent a lot of time behind their net waiting for breakout passes only to just fire it away. Draisaitl missed a pretty key pass with 50 seconds left. Just no fight, and I'm sure that was mostly an exhaustion thing. Regarding the goalies, I mean, obviously Bob had a phenomenal game. Some real scrambly moments there. Brandon said Bob was his choice for the Conn Smythe. I definitely see that. I think it was those prior 3 games and just McDavid's unreal stats collecting, which made the decision for the hockey writers. Stuart Skinner looked really sharp in the first, despite letting up that goal. I think he probably wants the second one back, but he was by no means the problem here. I thought the Oilers were also pretty good defensively, but the first goal, that was not great. I don't know what Bouchard is doing here, but he needs to be on the man in front of the net because Carter Verhaeghe tips in a shot. Skin Dog, not much chance on that one. And 5 minutes into the game, the air has left Edmonton's sails. Suddenly, all that momentum from the past couple of weeks has turned around, and it's 1-0. However, the connection we were all expecting to see heat up would in this game, as Ceci would find Janmark, who would just score an absolute beauty on the partial break. I'll call that a full break, actually. Let's not be picky. Not gonna lie, I kind of expected Bob to play that a bit more aggressively, but hey, that was the only one he let in. In the second, however, with 5 minutes left, Florida scored what honestly at the time felt like the dagger. And this was after an absolutely insane sequence. It must have been 4 or 5 minutes without a whistle. Edmonton had a bunch of opportunities in Florida's zone, and it always happens like this. That's what my dad said right after the goal. After the sustained pressure, it goes the other way. Reinhart takes it and just beats Skinner. Again, one he probably wants back. There was a lot of activity in front of the net. I mean, I find it too hard to be overly critical here. He had a great game overall. Anyway, that's that. congrats to the Florida Panthers. So cool to see not just Bob and the others lift the cup, but also Lou and Paul Maurice, some really, really classy guys in the game of hockey. I do think this Conn Smythe pick will end up being somewhat controversial. I mean, Connor McDavid was not just shut out this game, but also game 6. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on all this and more, of course, down below. And hey, it'll be a short off season, but we're not going anywhere. See you again soon.